The felony drug crime of possession of a Schedule 1 or 2 controlled substance. This is a very famous crime that happens all over the country, but definitely in the state of Nevada. Therefore, let's decipher exactly what this felony means. So, first of all, it's very straightforward. Okay, a person shall not, which means that it's not allowed, knowingly have the knowledge or intentionally possess actual or constructive possession a controlled substance. Example could be cocaine, could be meth, etc. Unless from a physician, registered nurse, pharmacist, etc. We all know there are plenty of drugs that a doctor will give you to help you with your certain diseases or whatever the case may be. A lot of those drugs will fall under the Schedule 1 or 2 categories. And if they do, and the defendant can show that, hey, this was a prescription from my doctor, then the defendant cannot be held liable for this crime because, again, we have the unless here. That's the defense. That's the exception, is if it's from these medical professionals, and again, it was a prescription. However, most of the time, it's individuals who get caught in possession, actual or constructive possession, who have cocaine or meth. Let's be very real, very straightforward. So let me explain exactly what actual possession is and constructive possession is, because that's also very straightforward too when it comes down to showing exactly what this crime means. Example, let's just pretend that Riley is driving on the freeway. He's speeding. He gets pulled over by speeding by an officer. Okay, an officer notices that Riley's eyes are red. Right, Riley's smoking marijuana. Right? He smoked before he drove. Right, marijuana is legal, but you can't do it while driving. Right, you can't be high while driving. It's DUI. But the officer suspects marijuana DUI. Okay, gets Riley out of the car, and sooner or later down the DUI investigation, the officer searched the vehicle and they happened to find drugs in the car. So even though the drugs was not actually on Riley's person, his pockets, back pockets, or down his pants, wherever he's hiding the drugs, even though it was not on his person, actual possession, the fact that they found the drugs in the vehicle, he will still be held liable for this crime because he was in constructive possession of the drugs. Okay? And that could apply even for airports too, right? You check your bag, you think you're slick, you can hide cocaine in there. That's constructive possession because that is your bag with your name on it, right? When you check your bag, and if drug sniffing dogs happen to find that bag and link it to you, even if the drug was not on your person, it will still be linked to you and you'll be held liable for this crime because that is constructive possession. An actual possession, like I just said earlier, is when the officer or whomever is investigating the individual has the drugs on his or her person, pockets, within their underwear, or whatever the case may be. That's actual possession. So let's look at the punishment for this crime. Very straightforward. So first or second offense of this crime is the category E felony. So a category E felony, per chapter NRS chapter 193, basically criminality generally, is that it's 1 to 4 years in prison. But the good thing about a first or second offense of possession is that the court will allow deferral of judgment upon consent of the defendant. What the heck does this mean? That means the defendant can basically abide by certain conditions, basically probation, and if he is successful, then basically the guilty plea for this crime will get withdrawn, then the case will get dismissed, and thereafter the defendant is free to seal this crime from his or her record. And that's only available if this is a first or a second offense of possession of Schedule 1 or 2 controlled substance. However, that is not going to be available for a defendant if it's a third offense or more. And again, this is why it's lifelong, right? So even a third offense 10 years down the line will technically qualify for this next section here. The last section here is that if it's a third offense or more, it'll be a category D felony, 1 to 4 years in prison, along with the court being able to impose a $20,000 fine. Therefore, this crime can get very serious if basically a drug user doesn't get their crap together. Therefore, you have good things that are going on here for deferral of judgment here, as you can see. But like I said, third offense or more, that's when things get ugly. Therefore, that is what this crime means. And if you have any questions, please comment below. Thank you.